Years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. GabNet needs you. Yes, GabNet needs you to call our live programs and be a part of the citizen panels. It's the most innovative talk format yet because it's not just one caller, it's a group of callers interacting with the hosts at the same time. Here's how you do it. It's simple. First, download Skype at skype.com. To install it, answer 4 simple questions. First name, last name, email address, and your choice of ID. Then launch Skype, go to Add Contacts, type in GabNet Live, and ask to be made a contact. Then you're ready to be on the citizen panel. If you're too lazy, well, you can always call on the phone at 347-352-0079. That's 347-352-0079. For all the information and a call button for Skype, log on to gabnet.net. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a video on how to call us and how to use GabNet. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be more fun and exciting. We're new. We're different. But we need you to call. So for crying out loud, call or we'll kill this dog. Don't worry, Fluffy. They won't let you die. I'm not kidding. Call or Fluffy gets it. Oopsie. This is an Internet Network news break. IP Pingsley reporting. Our top story, the Great American Broadcast Network, otherwise known as GabNet, is now a TuneIn partner. TuneIn, the world's largest audio network, has joined forces with GabNet, the world's most innovative talk network. GabNet's partnership with TuneIn means that listeners now have 3 main ways to listen to GabNet programming: gabnet.net, tunein.com, and the convenient TuneIn app for smartphones. To participate in the network's innovative citizen panels on GabNet programs, use Skype and type the handle GabNet Live or call on your phone 347-352-0079. For more information on this network, its programs, and its hosts, log on to gabnet.net. That's gabnet.net. This has been an Internet Network news break. Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before. Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that he could actually, a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone call on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be treated as enemy combatant.
I think so.
GabNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GabNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett and this is the Ramble, and it goes on from now until midnight Eastern Time, and as we do at least once a week, we like to talk to a friend of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the dulcet tones of Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Lawrence.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence. Hello.
Sitting in our 9th month in a row of rain here. It's wonderful.
9 months in a row. Hey, don't complain about the rain.
Yeah.
You know, don't complain about the rain because we've had snow. It's been snowing up a snot here. It really has. So
the trouble with rain, it encourages life.
That's true.
So.
That's your positive feeling about things, right, Larry? God. So how you doing?
Good. I was just reading. I was going through my almanac here. I think we did this before. I find people entertainers that have died, and you knew all the obscure ones.
Oh, all right. So do you have some new ones?
I got some new ones. I heard this name before, and I just looking. He died at the age of, oh my God, like 33. Robert Walker.
Oh yeah, Robert Walker was an actor who appeared in, I guess, his most significant film that people would remember him in was Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train.
That's what I remember him from. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was. He played the guy, Criss Cross. You know, he offered to kill Mel Ferrer's mother if he would kill his mother, and he doesn't agree to it, but the guy thinks he does, so that's wherein the whole thing. It's a good film. If nobody's,
it's kind of a creepy film. I liked it.
Very creepy, and that was Robert Walker. Yeah, 33.
I wonder how he died. 33.
I don't know. He was old enough to have a son because his son Robert Walker Jr. became an actor and appeared on, among other things, Star Trek. In fact, you remember that first episode of Star Trek where there's this kid, Charlie or whatever, that they find?
Yeah.
And he turns out to be evil and horrible. That was Robert Walker Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. So have I identified Robert Walker well enough for you here?
That was very good, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Anna May Wong.
Anna May Wong was an actress in, I think she first started in silent films, matriculated her way to regular movies, was never a huge star, but because she was an Asian, and that was unusual in films, and because usually the leads of Asians were played by, people like Peter Lorre played Mr. Moto, as an example. That Asians were always portrayed usually by Americans with their eyes made to look slitty. So she was unusual and I think, I may be wrong, I think she might have been in, oh God, I'm trying to, The Good Earth. She may have been one of the actresses in The Good Earth, but I'm not sure about that. But Anna May Wong was I know the actress. In fact, I can see her. So. But you can't see what I see, so I could be lying to you. But isn't lying the order of the day? Okay.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay.
It's the only way.
Okay, give me another name.
Okay, well, I know this guy. He's actually one of my favorite. He wasn't really a stand-up comic, man. He died on stage. Dick Shawn.
Dick Shawn. Well, Dick Shawn, famous death. Famous death. Because what happened was he was on stage, and he was doing his act, and he was always known as a wacky comic, very improvisational, and so on. And so he then grabbed his chest and said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And he fell to the ground and just laid there. And everybody was laughing.
Yeah, they thought it was a bit, so they let it go for about 5 minutes.
They let it go for about 5 minutes and went over and checked his pulse, and he was dead.
So talk about dying on stage.
Which we've all done before.
But what every comedian should have is kind of a signal he can give about this is really a heart attack. You know, I'm not just doing a bit here. You know, but he's a guy. Everybody thought he was. You know, yeah. So anyway, next,
Will Geer.
Will Geer. Will Geer has a great history. Will Geer was basically he was considered a communist. He was an actor who he wound up on what was that thing where they went
the Waltons.
Waltons.
Lame show.
Yeah, well, he was always the venerable grandfather in most things, even when he was like in his 30s. I mean, he was, but he was friends with the Weavers. I think he maybe even at times sung with them. Pete Seeger's pal, the whole commie group back in the day. And these weren't just lefties, folks. These were fucking commies. But he was I always liked him as an actor. He appeared in a film, a very strange film that John Frankenheimer did called Seconds, in which Rock Hudson plays an old. Well, it starts off with a guy by the name of Randolph. I'm trying to remember his first name, the actor, who is an older man, and he goes to this company which will kind of offer you seconds. What they do is they kill you off, or at least make it look like you died, and then they send you to this place where they do this intensive physical therapy and surgical change, so that you come out looking like, and in this case, Rock Hudson. And and him.
That was a good movie.
I thought it was a great movie. I mean, for its time, it doesn't age well, but for its time, it was a terrific film. Will Geer played the guy who was the head of the company, who's always counseling him. There, dear boy, don't worry about this. You're going to be fine. We all have to. He's very wise and so on, and just a superb role for Will Geer. So anyway, that's my knowledge of Will Geer. Is that good enough for you?
That was good. He was very I think he was a hardcore comic, right?
He was a hardcore comic?
Commie.
Yeah. Does it say anything in there about him being a lefty?
No, it just has the name and the day they were born and died. So
these people might not have been communists as much as they were really hardcore lefties, But it's interesting that he was. I don't know if he got caught up in that whole, blacklist thing. I think he did. He had to have, because he was that much of a lefty. But he was. I always liked him as an actor. Always was very fond of him. So.
Well, Mort Saul told me. He said all the good writers in Hollywood in the 30s and 40s were all communists.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. This was the truth of the matter was that back then we were coming out of a depression in which people were starving, and they were looking for answers because obviously this capitalistic system had failed them. Okay? And they were looking for answers, and a lot of people flirted with communism at that time. It was not unusual.
Right.
A lot of people did it. My father, who was very much a lefty, said he never did it because he didn't like communism because he felt it wasn't. It was working too hard for somebody else's ideology, that it was really a Russian thing, and he wanted solutions for America. But he was never anti-communist. Okay, so but anyway. A lot of people became communists for a short time during that period of time. So now it comes to the 50s, and these people decide they're going to go on a witch hunt for communists, right? And the question wasn't, are you now a communist? The question was, have you ever been, or are you now a communist? And the problem was that way back when, maybe I joined the Communist Party for about a week and a half, and then I saw it was a stupid idea, and I didn't do it anymore. But no, you suffered for that, And I hated that whole period of time. I mean, when I was a kid, I always talk about the fact that one of the most indelible incidents in my life was my father went down to City Hall in San Francisco to protest the House Un-American Activities Subcommittee. And so I went with him. You know, little red diaper baby, Bennett, went with him. And while my father was out protesting, I said, I'm going to go inside and see what's happening. And he said, go ahead. I think I was maybe, I think I was 12, 13, something like that, you know. So I went up to the room where they were holding the hearings, and I sat there watching them. And one of the people they brought up was a guy who I knew because I loved radio, and I loved the people who were on radio, and he did the morning show at what was then KQW, which later became WCBS. And he was doing the morning show. It was called San Francisco Story, and it was stories about the history of California and San Francisco. And he would tell these little stories for a half hour, and I love the show. And they bring this guy up, and they say, "Are you now? Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?" He says, "I refuse to testify under the what do you call it? That it may Fifth Amendment that may tend to incriminate me." And the next day I tune on to that show, and he's not there. He's not there, and he's not there the day afterwards, and he's not there the day afterwards, and I never heard from him again. I wish I could remember his name. Some people have brought up the name to me, and I forgot it. But, geez, I mean, it was really it was a lesson to me because I couldn't figure the whole thing out. This guy, if he was a communist, there wasn't any propaganda on the show he was doing, you know. And so I found that was a lesson to me, and from that time on, I hated witch hunts.
Yes, and now I think we're going through a new one with, if you made a sexist comment 40 years ago, you get fired today.
Yeah, it's the Me Too movement is very McCarthyite. You know, have you now, or have you ever made a pass at a woman? Yes, I did back in 1940. Well, you know, me too. You're out of work. You know,
we're taking your statue down.
You know, there should be. You know what was? Look, I never considered what the Me Too people are complaining about. I never found right to begin with, so I never engaged in that kind of activity. Okay, I was always very decent towards women. If I came on to a woman, I wasn't pushy about it, you know, that kind of thing. But nevertheless, I bet there's some women out there who actually could come up with Alex Bennett, this one particular time, you know, they could probably do it. But I mean, sure. I don't think I've ever been guilty of anything like that. If anything, I've been guilty of like giving up too easily.
Oh, me too. It's, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, what was it somebody said? Bennett's great with women, except he doesn't know how to close the deal.
Yeah. I think we both had that moniker.
Yeah.
We don't know how to close the deal.
Yeah. So, so this idea of it's very reminiscent to me of the McCarthy era. And I don't like it to be called McCarthyism because really the biggest thing going was the House Un-American Activities Subcommittee. They took their show on the road and went from town to town, obliterating. They were going after show business. In fact, when you see those things with those hearings in Washington that they always show, that wasn't McCarthy. McCarthy was he was investigating communism in the army. And that's all he was doing. But somehow the whole thing became known as the McCarthy era.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, more names.
Lupe Velez.
I recognize the name. I've seen her in films. I couldn't name a single one of them right now, but I know the name. You know, I'm familiar with it.
1908 to 1944.
She died then, huh? Yeah.
30s, Jesus.
Yeah. If you go back, you watch Turner Classic Movies, you'll see a couple of Lupe Velez films. They probably do a Lupe Velez film festival on TCM, you know.
And one of my favorites, this is not a...
By the way, interesting, I was watching TCM to show you how obscure they get. they were running a John Bowles festival. A whole night of nothing but films by John Bowles.
John Bowles.
Now, how many people out there can name a film John Bowles was in? I can.
I never heard of him.
He was in King of Jazz with Paul Whiteman, which was 1931, I think. But you know, they get so obscure on TCM that they had a John Bowles festival the other night. So I was delighted. I had missed all those John Bowles films. Anyway, so Lupe Velez is one of those that, yeah, I know the name. I just don't. I can't place her.
She sounds hot, but I could be wrong.
Well, of course, she has the hot firecracker Latin name, Lupe Velez. You know, and we were mentioning we were mentioning Asians in films. The fact was that the Spanish were also they were tolerated in Hollywood, and they were in films because they were hot, both the males and the females, but they were never given the major roles in most cases. I mean, Ricardo Montalban, it was always with Ricardo Montalban, you know.
And Carmen Miranda.
Well, Carmen Miranda was a star. She was a big star. And I don't know if you know this, Jewish.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, she was authentically from South America, but she had Jewish parents. Yeah. Yeah. And I always loved Carmen Miranda. I thought she was really talented, you know. And those hats.
The fruity hat.
When bananas become an item of fashion, you got to know it's pretty good. But anyway, so.
Okay, and this next guy, well known, but I watch these reruns, and it's bad writing and bad acting. Raymond Burr.
Well, Raymond Burr, I actually met Raymond Burr once when I was in Armed Forces Radio. I think I either interviewed him or he came down to to be interviewed or whatever. All I know is I met up with him once, and I think it was at his home. I think we went to record something at his home, and I remember him wearing a big caftan because Raymond Burr, when he wasn't Perry Mason, was the most, how can we put it this way, flagrant gay person I had ever met. I mean, he was so swish.
Wow.
You know. And usually if you were homosexual and you were in films, you kind of maintained that macho flavor that you portrayed on the screen. I mean, we all know Rock Hudson was gay, but you never saw the gayness, you know. And I'm sure privately he wasn't that swish either, okay? But, man, Raymond Burr was, hello, everybody. Here's... You know, he was flamboyant. I think that's the term we use, flamboyant. But Raymond Burr was, of course, Raymond. You want a little trivia for Raymond Burr? He was in the first Godzilla movie.
Really?
Yes. Here's what happened. He was in the first Godzilla movie, but he wasn't. When it was released in China as in Japan rather as Gojira. It was just an all-Japanese movie, okay? And really the film was not meant to be a horror film and a monster film as much as a cry against atomic power, okay? And what it could do. You could unleash this giant monster. But by the time it came to the United States, they had to do an Americanized version, so they refilmed some scenes with an American, so that he was in there with all the Japanese, and there was you were kind of following him, all right? And so the remake for the American audiences had Raymond Burr in it as the star. So there's a little piece of trivia for you. And, did I go far enough on Raymond Burr for you?
That was good. And 9 years on Perry Mason?
Yeah. Well, come on, stump me already.
Okay, I like this for some reason as a kid. I thought this guy was funny. A bald guy, kind of had a funny attitude. Fred Clark.
Well, Fred Clark, we all know pretty much. I mean, most people know Fred Clark. Fred Clark wound up on one of the Lucy shows as her. Oh, no, that wasn't Fred Clark. That was somebody else. But Fred Clark, I'm trying to tell you the movies he was in. I know Fred Clark. I can see his face right in front of me right now. But he was also, you know, a lot of these actors were always had the with status. They never starred in a film. And I'm trying to think. Let me look up Fred Clark a second, because I'm trying to remember the films he was in.
I can't remember what he was in, but I just remember as a kid I'd see him, and for some reason I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah. Let me see here.
Kind of a cranky guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he had a mustache, and he always played cranky people.
Usually had a cigar.
No, I don't think he had a cigar. I don't remember a cigar with Fred Clark. Let me see here. Clark. I think, was it with an E? Fred Clark.
No E.
There we go. Let's see, Fred Clark. I can't find him. Huh. Fred
really
Clark. Oh, wait, Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, there he is. He was in Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, he did a lot of things. He was on a lot of shows. He died. He had to have died in like when did he die? 1968.
He was 54.
He was 54. Yeah. Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
He was on the Beverly Hillbillies. He played Dr. Roy Clyburn. He was on F Troop. He was on Bonanza. He was in the movie Skidoo. If I showed you his face, everybody would know exactly. You've seen him. You know, you go, that was a guy I've seen. Okay, next.
Yeah. Victor Buono.
Oh, big fat guy, another gay guy. Very gay.
Maybe went out with Perry Mason.
Probably was vying for the role of most flamboyant with Raymond Burr. Victor Buono. Well, in the recent thing they did about Betty Davis and Joan Crawford on TV, Betty and Joan, Buono plays a very big part in that story, in that he was in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Big fat guy.
Yeah, he did have a big part.
Yeah, he did not come across, though, as gay on screen. But according to like Will and this Joan and Bet thing they did, they play him as having been really gay and just hiding it, all the time. So that was
dead
Victor Buono.
Dead at 44.
Dead at 44. God.
As was this next guy, John Candy.
John Candy, we don't have to even, I don't know.
No, but the thing interesting about John Candy, his father, he and his brother all died at the age of 44. He had a strong heart attack factor.
Wow. You would have thought that if his father died at 44, John Candy would have taken better care of himself.
Yeah.
Saying, my father went at 44 and his brother went at 44?
And his brother, they all went at 44.
And was his brother, did he die before him or after him?
That I don't know. I think before.
But you would just think if you had people dying at 44 in your family, you would hit 44 and you would say, I'm really going on a diet. I'm not going to eat too many candy bars this year. But he went really young. Yeah.
And good in everything he did.
Yeah, I think he was a terrific sketch actor, and he was lucky enough to be a sketch actor who became a star. I mean, he could open a picture, as the term goes. He could sell tickets, so that was really good. Okay, we got time for one more.
Anita Louise.
Actually, we have time for. Well, do we have time for one more? Anita Louise. This one. You're getting me on. I know the name, okay, but I couldn't tell you anything she did.
Okay, you would definitely know this guy, Mel Blanc.
Well, I had lunch with Mel Blanc. Years ago, Al Goldstein, when I was doing Midnight Blue at Screw Magazine, said to me, Mel Blanc's coming to town. He loves Screw Magazine. He loves me, but I can't go out. I can't. He says, I can't go out to lunch with him. So would you take him out to lunch? So I said, sure. So I meet up with him, and there he is, and we're having the lunch, and he's doing. You would think this guy would just say, please don't ask me to do Bugs Bunny. Don't ask me to do Daffy Duck or whatever. He's ordering his food as Bugs Bunny. He's asking for his dessert as Daffy Duck. I mean, he's doing all the voices.
Was it annoying the waitress?
The waitress didn't know what to think because she didn't know who Mel Blanc was, but she did know that sounded like Bugs Bunny, you know. Mm-hmm. And the funniest part about it was he had these little, you know those little joke cards they used to have that were dirty joke cards?
Yeah.
Remember, they were little cards with dirty jokes on them and dirty cartoons on them. He had them in his pocket, and he would keep pulling them out and showing them to me. Yeah. I just thought it was Mr. Family Guy with the voice. Did I identify Mel Blanc well enough for you?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, well, listen.
And probably the biggest, maybe the biggest voice star of all time?
I would say so, easily. I mean, he's the king of the cartoon voices, you know.
Either him or Tom Kenny.
Well, now, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, hey, Bubs, thank you.
I can't stump you on these names.
You're not stumping me at all, but geez, you know.
But you always have something in it. That's why I like it. You know so many interesting things about these people. It's great.
Right. Anyway, hey, I got to go. Thank you, Bubs.
We'll see you next week.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
There we go. There's Bubbles, and there's some stories about movie stars. And I love it when we get together and he pulls that stuff on me and says, do you know so-and-so, and do you know so-and-so? And yes, I did know Mel Blanc. Yes. I'm more than just who he is, but having had lunch with him. That was when I think about it, that was a thrill for me. That was a real thrill. Anyway, I've opened up the lines here. I'm trying to clean things up here so that I'm clearing the decks for you guys to call. If you don't know how to call this program, it's a very simple proposition, folks. All you do is you go to, if you want to find out exactly how to do it, go over to gabnet.net. And on that page, on the right-hand side, complete tutorial on how to call the program. It's no big deal. It's very simple. The worst part is having to download and use Skype. But that will allow you to call us and to talk with us and to be part of the citizen panel, which is not one, not two people talking to me, but a whole bunch of people. I understand with the new Skype, if I ever go to it, that I can have as many as 24 people on at a time. That I would not want, okay? Because that's just noise, okay? And I don't know why they figure anybody would want to have 25 people on a conference call at the same time. I really don't know. But anyway, hey, look who's calling first tonight. This is a treat. You're usually not the first, Josh Wheeler, but tonight you are.
Well, that's good, I guess, right?
Yeah. You're where again? I'm trying to remember. I'm terrible with these things.
Where I live about 20-minute drive south of Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. So you're in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we were talking the other day about Ohio because, you know, New York City refused to take or didn't want to get the Amazon business here, right? And so we were talking about it, and we said, why didn't Amazon go to like Columbus, Ohio? Why
Well,
didn't they go to?
They put in for it here,
Yeah.
and they have a couple massive distribution centers here. Not just one; they have like 3.
Yeah. So
so they tried, and Columbus is already the home to a few other major things. So that they when they put in that kind of was one of their selling points or whatever, like Nationwide Insurance, for example. I mean, that's one of the biggest insurance companies in America. They're headquartered.
By the way, let me say hello to Dave Shuck. Are you there, Dave? Dave, are you there? Can you hear us, Dave? All I get is a still picture of Dave.
I don't even see
Dave
that.
was a regular caller to this program at one time, so I'm just wondering why he's not getting through tonight. Well, we just lost him. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried, but I guess they obviously they didn't win. So I don't know if maybe they will now.
Well, now supposedly New York is begging to get their business back, and we were so happy they decided to not do it. That they finally realized that the community didn't want them here, because our question is, New York is, you go out to where you live, and if you want to build something like an Amazon fulfillment center, okay? You have all the room in the world to build something like that, and all the room for expansion of population that's going to have to come in and fill those 25,000 jobs. Imagine Long Island City, which is Queens, basically, and an influx of 25,000 people who want to work there. There's no place for them to live. On what Amazon's going to pay them, they can't afford to live there, So I mean, what was going through anybody's mind on this? It was a bad idea, and now New York's begging, please come back, Amazon. What? Are you out of your mind? I mean, Jeff, you know the area. Do you think that could take the influx of 25,000 workers every day?
Well, I used to work there.
Yeah.
Many times, and my dad used to work there too. And there's a lot of factories and places that used to have jobs there.
Yeah.
And so as far as the Long Island City area, it's got enough area to run the facilities.
Yeah, but think of the pressure on transportation, the subway system. The fact that these people are not going to be able to live in Long Island City. I mean, maybe when you used to live there, it was cheap, but it's not anymore. So they're going to get those jobs that pay $35,000, $40,000 a year, and where are they going to live? So going to a place like Illinois, and here was the shitty thing that Amazon did. They had all these cities like Cincinnati and smaller cities putting in the bids and spending like a couple of $1 million on the presentations and on all the work that it took to try and get the business. And they finally settled on Washington, D.C. and New York City. They never had any intention of going out to these other cities. And it was terrible what they did to them. Then if I couldn't get stuff so cheap from Amazon, I'd stop buying stuff from them. Yes, Jeff. Oh, hi, there's Dave Shuck. Hi, Dave. Haven't seen you in a long time.
I haven't been around. You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
Just great. Can hear you, see you. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
But anyway, let's finish with what we were saying. Yes? Anyway.
Well, I was going to say that the transportation, as far as the city train system, it's in trouble right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're going to put another 25,000 people trying to get on the train?
Yeah. And by the way, did we add the fact that the city of New York was going to give Amazon $3 billion?
Cheap money
in either tax rebates or whatever, You know, I'm sorry. You're right. The subways need fixing. We could use that $3 billion to fix the goddamn subways. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they offered around here. I mean, I thought that, didn't Amazon, like, at the end there release, like, their final 15 or something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, yeah, and then when it...
And Columbus made, you know, they were in that cut, you know, so it was, you know, close, but they didn't get it. But I mean, this is a pretty big area, though. I mean, now don't get me wrong, I'm not going to try to say it's like New York City, because nothing is like, you know, New York City, obviously.
Right.
But it's pretty overcrowded. It's getting overcrowded in that area now. I mean, the people that live there and that are moving in. For those kinds of things are starting to encroach on basically the area that I live in.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, you have to get in a car and drive, you know, 25 minutes in a certain direction and you're here. And then, you know, where my property ends that I actually own, the other side of that property line is cornfield, you know, so I mean, I live in a pretty rural area, but those people are starting to show up and buy from those farmers, and it's starting to get some warehouses and stuff within, I mean, they're within like maybe 5 miles of our rural area now. So it's been growing this way since I was a little kid. And I guess it'll keep going there. I keep saying, you know, when I can see the warehouses from my house, I'm leaving, you know, because I didn't want to live in that environment. But I hope that never happens because I'll have my house and everything paid for. I really don't want to move.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I just don't understand, you know, why they made all these cities give out with these bids, and then the two cities they pick are not what we call highly impacted cities. Okay, I mean, I understand that, you know, Columbus has a lot of problems. And Cincinnati and Cleveland has a lot of problems. And I could name a few other cities they could have gone to. Try Detroit.
Right.
You know? Detroit.
They were looking at Kansas City.
Huh?
They were looking at Kansas City as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so all these people were going, oh, we might get the bid. No, you were never in the mix. They were just trying to act like they were being good neighbors, you know? I mean, it's bullshit.
Like to have their ass kissed, I guess, just like anybody else.
Yeah. It turned out also that the two places they picked are all within 3 miles of where what's his name, who runs the company, lives. He has a place in Washington and he has a place in New York, and all these places were within 3 miles of where he works. What's his name?
Bezos.
Bezos, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, they I mean, that's I guess you said, you know, you didn't know why they did it, but just because they can, I guess. I mean,
well,
you know.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden New York is begging for them to come back, and I'm going, what are you doing? We got rid of them. Stop it. You know? I don't think they will, because I mean, if they made the decision to leave already, I don't think they're going to change their mind. Well, they never did anything much to move in either, you know. So I mean, it wasn't like I don't know if they even bought the building at that point, or if they owned it. It, you know, certainly they can unload it, you know.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I don't know. It's the whole nature of business has changed all around the country. And people are going to have to get used to this. That that the big box stores. I'm surprised that certain big box stores are still around. I mean, Best Buy, they should have been out of business a couple of years ago. There's some kind of good management going on there, though, because here's what they do, and here's why I go to Best Buy. I want to buy something. I go on Amazon. I see what the price is. I go down to Best Buy. I say, here's the price on Amazon, and they meet it. And I don't have to wait for it to get delivered to me, and I don't have to wait several days. And I'm dealing at least with a business that's paying some people locally to work it. So why should I go to Amazon to buy my big electronics if I can get it just as cheap by just showing. I used to refer to Best Buy as my Amazon showroom. And then they got smart and realized everybody was coming in to see what something looked like, play with it, and then go home and use Amazon to buy it. But now Amazon's meeting the price. So while you're there, you may as well just go on your iPhone, see what the price is at Amazon, show it to them, and walk out of there with the same price you would have gotten on Amazon.
Yeah.
But I think that's where they've been kind of smart. Plus, they do have an online presence in which they will sell you stuff online, and they will deliver it the next day, with people installing it. Like if you buy a TV set, they'll come and install the TV set for you. So why should I buy it on Amazon if I can get it for the same price at Best Buy? So that's where they got smart. But all these other big Payless Shoes is gone. Hi, hey, it's Brian. He's not at home though. Obviously,
I'm actually in my apartment.
Oh, you are? You are in your apartment. Oh, I've never seen it. I don't think we've ever seen the ceiling. But anyway, so where was I? So, for instance, Payless Shoes is going out of business. Pennies is, I think the person who somebody was running Pennies just bought it rather than let the stores go out of business. Are there any Woolworths left? Huh?
Not that I know.
And what other company was going? Oh, Sears Roebuck is gone.
Sears is done, right?
Sears is toast. Yeah.
And for good reason, for very, very good reason. If you've had to deal with them at all for any kind of appliance issues, they were they were the worst. They were the worst.
Really?
They'd have great prices and zero support and no help. And they default to, well, we need to see the original copy of the receipt, not a Xerox copy of the original receipt. And we're like, okay, here it is, but it's faded out because it's 3 years old. And they're like, well, we can't
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that would do it.
That would do it. That would kill their business. I'll tell you, though.
Yeah. So good for them for going out of pushing themselves out of business as fast as they could.
Of all the businesses in this country prior to the big internet boom, who could have competed the best against Amazon because they already had it in place? That would be Sears and Roebuck, because they had that Sears and Roebuck catalog. That was Amazon before Amazon ever existed. Every year you get this big, huge, thick book with everything from gingham, to needles to whatever. And then you would, I don't know if you had to go to Sears Roebuck to get them or whether they would actually send them to you.
Do you remember Consumers Distributing?
No.
In San Francisco, Consumers Distributing. It was a catalog-only place. They had retail locations all over the place, but you just come into this cramped little room in the front and fill out a slip and hand it to them, and they would go into this vast building behind and check through the inventory, and they'd be gone for 20 minutes before they came back and said, oh, no, I'm sorry, we're all out of those. And that was apparently their entire business model.
They never sold anything in their 20 years of business because they were all out of them.
It was empty buildings. It was all a gigantic prank.
Yes, Charlie.
I got my first credit card from Sears back in 1971.
Really?
Still paying on
No,
it? Still paying the minimum payments?
No, I canceled that card years ago.
There was a time.
I used to buy all my tools and stuff, those Craftsman tools. I used to buy all the time from Sears.
Well, supposedly their products were considered pretty good. I mean, you buy a dishwasher, or a washer and dryer from them.
I bought refrigerators.
Supposedly they lasted a long time, and when they had service on them, it was a good deal all the way around. But it's just kind of amazing,
Yeah, they were, but it's just the natural evolution of things. I mean, they were a giant, right?
Yeah.
Now they're a dinosaur, and there's a new giant. I mean, which is Amazon. And I know everyone thinks it's absolutely ridiculous, but I don't know. I suppose if I live long enough, and 70 years from now, Amazon will probably some show talking about Amazon going fucking out of business. Or
Do you remember when the people thought there was that Walmart was the pinnacle of retail sales in the world?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, totally, and nobody thought that no one will ever set them. Will put them off their throne. Yep, done. Now they're kind of like, I mean, they're there, but
yes, Brian.
No, I still think Walmart has Amazon cornered on the brick and mortar retail end. That's why I half jokingly refer to Amazon as the Crips and the Walmart as the Bloods.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what it's going to be.
But
but how much?
That
what?
As big as Walmart is, though.
Yeah.
Like I've always found, like their website sucks. If you ask me, like their website, is fucking terrible. I mean, it's
but
like
you don't get anything from Amazon offline, and like Whole Foods or something. It's just they don't have the infrastructure in place either. So
right, but so it's like when I buy on the internet from Amazon, easy, right from my phone, so whatever. Like Walmart's website's fucking terrible. I mean, so just weird how. Like Brian, they've got the whole physical location thing down, and then Amazon, has the internet. But I don't know, Amazon's going to try to get into the stores, it sounds like, really.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason why Amazon bought up Whole Foods was so they could deliver food. So they because the one area they couldn't really serve were people who wanted to buy food, meat, whatever. And because they couldn't get it to them fast enough. So that wasn't a workable model. But once they bought Whole Foods, you can order and get it within 3 hours because there's a Whole Foods near you, and that's their distribution point. So,
But they're apparently now going to try to invest themselves into like regular grocery stores, is my understanding.
Well, that too.
I mean, not just the Whole Foods, which I don't shop at or whatever. I mean, some people might, but like just apparently like regular grocery store, like your normal run-of-the-mill style.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, to show you how simply these things all started, Amazon started by selling books. That's all they sold were books. That was it. And look at what they've become. eBay was a group of people that got together, a woman who started it, Meg Whitman, I think was her name, and her husband started it to sell Pez dispensers. People would go online and they would trade Pez dispensers. That was the whole methodology to the site. And then all of a sudden one day they said, well, if this works, why don't we let people try and sell other stuff too? Before you knew it, eBay had a big business going for them. But
didn't Meg Whitman run for California Senate? Senator from California against Barbara Boxer.
She also ran for governor. Look at that. My, how she's grown, right?
I know.
Yeah. The last time you called, how old was she?
It was. I haven't called in 18 months. I'm sorry.
They do grow fast, don't they?
Yeah. 12.
12? Oh.
And I just smacked her with my ear thing.
Yeah. So,
hi.
Hi. So, how have you been? Do you remember me?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you're 12. And what grade are you in now?
I'm in 6th grade.
Uh-huh.
Still homeschooled again.
Oh, you're homeschooling. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you'll probably wind up being smarter than the other kids. There's no doubt about that. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you guys again.
Actually, you're the youngest person who's ever been on this citizen panel.
Really?
Yeah, so let me ask you some of the citizen panel stuff. So what do you think of Donald Trump?
Oh.
It's even gotten to kids.
I don't quite like him.
Yeah, what is it you don't like
to
about
say
him?
It nicely.
Yeah, what is it you don't like about him?
Family.
I've heard a lot of things.
Yeah, like what?
one large thing is the whole wall thing. That I think is just kind of ridiculous. And I personally don't think he's I don't think he is thinking about the actual good of the country, for the country. Mm-hmm. He's mostly thinking for himself and how he can get more popular.
God, what a wise kid. Yeah. Did your father, like, indoctrinate you with all this, or did you come to this opinion on your own?
I came to this by myself.
Yeah.
I heard all this stuff, and I'm like, oh dear.
Oh, dear. Now, you realize, you see, I'm 79 years old. That's really old, isn't it? Well, thank you for being so nice. And so, you know, how many years do I have to worry about this? But you're going to have to live with whatever this guy does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm not too happy about him.
That's a great kid you got there, Dave. Yeah, you taught her well.
I'm a bit scared about my future.
Oh boy. Oh, what a great kid.
Yes, she's fantastic.
Yeah. I can't remember. Do you have other kids too?
See you. Good night. Well, we had an older. We have Danielle. Danielle is Christine's oldest daughter. She's almost 30 now, and she hates our guts. So,
why does she hate your guts?
Because she got an audience of people that is really into victimhood, and suddenly we became these horrible abusive parents. Even though, and she just made up this complete fictional past. I don't know. It's complete pain.
You know, that does happen. That does happen. I knew a woman once who somehow somebody convinced her she had been abused as a child, and she came to this feeling. And then she tried to tell me, well, you were probably abused as a child. And I said, no, my father, my father yelled, you know.
But that's not abuse.
And she said, well, that's abusive.
Okay.
So, you know,
well,
yeah.
This is Angie.
Yeah.
Angie is our new foster daughter.
Oh, wow.
And she's been with us for nearly a year.
Yeah.
And she's turned 3 with us.
Mm-hmm.
And if things don't work out with her mother getting custody back, she's going to be ours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's a very sweet little girl. She's very intelligent.
Yeah.
And so we're
what does
hoping
her mother have to do to get custody back, and does her mother want custody back?
I don't want to get into too many details because I don't know the woman's full history.
Mm-hmm.
But she would have to jump through a whole lot of hurdles and be a lot more. She gets a visit every weekend, and she's missed in the last year. She's missed about half of them.
Wow. Okay.
And the court is going to take that into account.
Yeah.
The fact that half the time, and for like sometimes 3 and 4 weeks in a row, she simply would disappear and no one could find her.
That's got to be rough on you, though. I mean, you make an investment emotionally in a child who eventually might be taken away from you. So you have to live with that possibility. So I think it's very giving of you.
The goal is reunification. The goal is reunification, and we had that drilled into us in the classes. Reunification is the goal. Separate the kids, give the parents some time to deal with their shit, straighten their lives up, and then bring the kid back in. And
reunification is the object. That's what they told Kim Jong-un. So, you know.
So, well, if it happens and she goes back, she's had some great times with us. Otherwise, we want to keep her forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And, but it's been a big year. We just my father-in-law had lived with us for about 2.5 years, and he fell down on the snow. He slipped on the ice, and he landed on his shoulder, and he shattered the socket into a whole bunch of pieces. And they so they had him on pain meds, and he fell 3 or 4 more times inside our house within a day. And we had to have him put into assisted living.
I thought you were going to say we had to have him put...
We had to put him down.
Yes, that's what I thought you were going to say. We had to put him down, you know.
The polar bears were already smelling him. They were lining up right there on the banks.
That goes along with my other joke about I had a dog once I had to put down. So it told him that he was a lousy dog, you know, so anyway.
Alex.
Yes. Brian.
Just, if Tony's listening, this is advice he could. We always, you guys always razz him about his mom. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Giving you this guy here is giving him ideas on how to do that.
Yeah. But anyway, but that's an adorable daughter you have there. She is just
both of them. Both of them are fantastic, and they're just good people.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I lost 40 pounds. Hooray!
Oh, really? I lost 60.
You look great.
Since November, I've lost
see you on
40.
Facebook.
Huh?
Said since November I've lost 40. So
you look like you've lost weight. Yeah.
Way to go, man! How did you do it?
Well, there's a bit of a story attached. For a little while, it was because I wasn't working. It was fasting and depression and anxiety. But the other part was, then I realized I had lost 25 or so pounds because of that. Then I started the dieting and exercising part. And now I have a job. That's why I haven't called in a month. So yeah, that's things kind of took an upturn from the first 2 months versus the last 2.
Well, that's good. I mean, part of it is, you're gay, and if I had to give blowjobs, I don't think I'd be able to eat either. So.
Well, semen is a natural appetite. Hey, you set yourself up for that, motherfucker.
Yeah, I sure did set myself up for that one. So you get a good job, by the way?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, you don't seem to be complaining about it. You were always complaining about the other jobs. Are you hauling stuff around like you used to, or?
I am.
Yeah.
Amazon and FedEx product.
Oh, I see. Are you? You're not a. Well,
they're not delivery though.
You're not a FedEx guy though.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm a vendor.
Yeah, because I hate FedEx. I hate.
So do I.
Yeah. The only one that I find that's been reliable for me is UPS, and so I've told Amazon just send it by UPS. Don't send it by anything else. So they now only send by UPS to me.
Well, certainly not the people they pay shitbird wages and give shitbird benefits to directly deliver their product.
Well, the worst is the post office. See, they love using the post office because they got to deal with the post office where it's the cheapest way they can send stuff. And the reason it's so cheap is most of the time, 50% of the time, the product never got to me. Whenever it went United Postal Service. USPS, so whatever. If Phil were here, he would tell me, well, that's the trouble with the post office. They're a bunch of thieves. So, I got a couple items here that let me reach back and go get them. First of all, did anybody see I guess, I don't know if this crowd does it, see the interview with R. Kelly? That CBS did, that what's her name on the morning show did, Oprah's girlfriend, Gayle King, in which he went ballistic. He just went crazy, went nutso. Let me hold on a second. Let me see. Let me get the item here. Here we go. said this morning, he was on the show, and by the way, first of all, R. Kelly he was thrown in jail again today because he was supposed to pay child support, and he didn't pay child support. And so he was only willing to give half of it, saying he can't afford the other half. And the half of it was $70.
Fuck around with underage girls.
Well, no, but the money he owed was where is it here? Somewhere here. He was prepared to pay $50,000 to $60,000, but the judge wants the whole amount, which is $161,000. And he said the reason he can't do it is he didn't have the whole amount because he's not able to work.
Oh, shit.
Now, wait a minute. You're R. Kelly. You had all those hits, and now you can't. You spend every penny that comes in?
You know what? If I were that judge, I'd have asked for twice that amount just to say that the extra 100% is for interest.
I'll tell you, I heard a great quote by the guy today who died. What was his name? Perry?
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry. And it was this. He was interviewed by somebody many years ago, and he said, "Well, what's your philosophy in life?" He said, "Save the money and spend the fame." That's good advice.
He only had 52 years to do it.
Yeah, but that's really great advice. But anyway, what happened with R. Kelly is he went on the Gayle King morning thing. He got interviewed by her, and in the middle of it, he just broke down. He just went ballistic. You know, he wasn't going to hurt anybody. He just got up and he just said, "I'm tired of this. I can't take this. I didn't do any of this. People get off my back about this." And it was something to see. If you get a chance, it's on YouTube. You can go find it on YouTube as well. I was going to play it tonight, but then I didn't want to take the chance that all of a sudden, Facebook wouldn't accept the video from it, even though, it's
Facebook has become quite the inane social justice warrior keyboard ninja platform, hasn't it?
No, yeah, right. Well, I also wanted to play, and I don't know if you've heard this, but Alex Trebek announced to his audience that he has pancreatic cancer. Now, pretty much you get pancreatic cancer, you start saying goodbye to everybody, unless you can do what my ex-wife did and get the operation called the Whipple procedure, but only about 10% of people who have pancreatic cancer qualify for that particular thing. And his is stage 4 now, which means it's spread. So, I guess the ultimate Jeopardy question would be, where's Alex Trebek? I kind of feel bad because I love that show. I've always loved Jeopardy.
Seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, and he seemed like a nice guy. Yeah. He never pissed me off. And people piss me off very easily.
What about Pat Sajak? He always seemed like a nice guy to me too.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, I've met both of them because they both did my show in San Francisco at one time or another, and they were both just terrific people.
I saw his show on. He did it briefly. He did like a Sunday evening talk show.
No, you're wrong about that. It wasn't a Sunday evening talk show. It was a 5-night-a-week talk show. He did the late night that later Letterman took over.
Sajak did this.
Yeah, he did it. And when he went to do it, I thought he would be a big success because after having him on when he was on my show, he had such a kind of mean edge to his comedy, to his being funny, that I really liked it. And I said, if he could do that late night, he'd be a sensation. So he went on it.
In the mid-aughts, he had, I remember the title, Pat Sajak Weekends, I think was what it was called.
Well, that I don't remember, but I do remember the Pat Sajak show, and that was on Monday through Friday, and he went on and he tried to be the nice guy. And I went, if he just had that edge, he'd be a success, but he never had the edge. When I heard he was going to do a show, I said, he's going to do great. You know, he's going to do terrific. But he, you know, again, he went, oh, I've got to be the good guy. It's 11:30. You know, I can't have that edgy comedy I want to do. And for a time, while he did that, he left the Wheel of Fortune, I believe. So, you know, but he was back, screaming and crawling and wanting to, you know. But it's kind of sad to see, you know, that that Alex Trebek. I was trying to remember his first name. Alex Trebek, you know, is dying for all practical purposes. You know, and he's about 6 months younger than I am. So, you know, I just it's like I keep saying, you know, the good part of getting old is that you're old, and the bad part is all the people you hear that are dying. And you go, why are all these people dying? And they're dying because you're not. So shut the fuck up, you know? So, anyway. And another item that I had here, this one really is kind of interesting. The pace of cord cutting accelerated in 2018, with the largest pay TV providers shedding about 2.9 million video subscribers. That means cable systems.
Good riddance.
Yeah. Nearly double the 1.5 million subscriber losses in 2017. The report notes that the researcher, which tracks providers covering 95% of the U.S. market, found that the gains from virtual MVPD services, a.k.a. skinny bundles, I don't know what that is, are not making up for the steep losses in conventional subscribers. That indicates a growing number of viewers are doing without pay TV altogether, and they're just going and getting things like, let's see here. Oh, by the way, DirecTV and Dish Network suffered the bulk of the losses, a collective $2.6 billion. But anyway, what they're saying is that, you know, a lot of it's going to stuff like, you know, these bundled packages where you go in and for $40 you get all the basic cable channels and stuff like that. But what they don't mention is these cable companies are the same people who are supplying you with the internet connection. So they are making money off of that after all. You know, it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. So there's another business. You know, we were talking about businesses that we're losing. It's only a matter of time before we don't have cable systems anymore. Yep. What they're going to be is the internet service provider, and that's going to be it. You know, and there are a lot of other businesses that are going to go out of, you know, out of business. I mean, I think about all the things that used to exist just 20 years ago. Go find a payphone.
Yeah.
Do they make them anymore? Do they install them anywhere?
I haven't seen one in years.
Yeah. Go into your nearest 7-Eleven next time you're there and just say, "Can I use the payphone?" Just see what they probably will give you a look like. What's a payphone? You know, yeah, right. They look like the RCA dog looking into the Victrola. Yeah.
I saw one the other day. I was trying to think where. I know. I was at the downtown convention center in Columbus, Ohio. That's where, and they had one somewhere. But I mean, at a place like that, I guess maybe they still have one here and there or something. But you're right. It was the first time I saw one in years. I mean. Yeah. I mean, you know, I noticed it, you know, like I walked by, I was like, hey, look, there's a payphone. If, you know, it'd be like the first thing that an 8-year-old had to ask me how to use. You know?
In fact, like, I think...
Let me show you how to use this.
How many of you on this panel actually have a telephone in your house?
Not anymore.
You do, Jeff. And you do still, Dave? Hardwired?
Well, my parents do.
Your parents do, but I'm talking about you. That doesn't count.
I use Skype. No, I don't.
No,
which one do I do? Vonage. So no, I guess I don't.
So that's a VoIP service. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Yes, Jeff.
The only time I use it is it takes measurements from my heart and sends it to the
Oh yeah, you have to have it for
university automatically.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have no interest in it.
And they like it to be a hardwired phone to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't want your cell phone.
They don't want the cell phone.
Right. Yes, yes, Charlie.
The only thing I used my landline for the last 5 years I had it was to locate my cell phone. So I finally got rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, you know what happens is you get yourself cable, or in my case, I have FiOS. And what they always do, and I never can quite figure out why they do it, is they give you part of the thing is, well, you get the internet and you get all the fine TV shows that we have available on our system. You can get your HBO through us and so on and so forth. And then part of the service is you have to have a phone. And so these cable services all give you this dinky line in that you go out and you get a cheap phone from Best Buy, and it never rings because you're using your cell phone all the time. You know, what did you turn yourself sideways for?
It's just a temporary thing while I adjust.
Well, don't do that because your picture is now not portrait.
Give me like 2.
Wait a minute. Let's everybody look at it. Yes, we have all these big people, and then we have that little person over on the side who's climbing up the side of his wall.
I haven't had a regular phone in like decades. I mean, we built our house in 2006.
Yeah.
And they put phone jacks and everything in, but I've never had one in the house ever, not even once. So we had phones, our own phones, like cell phones then. So that's, I mean, you know, that long ago even. Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, I have this stupid phone that they give me, but I never use it. It's sitting over there. It never rings. In fact, what I did is I unplugged it and plugged the fax machine into it. You know, because who uses it? All the calls I get come through my cell phone. You know, I mean, I never thought that day would come. Oh, I always have a phone in the house. I always have to have a hardwired phone in the house. I can't tell you. I think since I've come to New York this time, I don't have a hardwired phone in my house. You know, so.
Next, it'll probably be watches, of which I still carry one.
What?
Next, it'll probably be watches, of which I still carry
watches now. I mean, why do I need a regular watch when I got Mickey who will tell me the time?
It's 11:18. Good night, pal.
You get the time here.
Yeah, but I don't even have to look. I can just...
It's 11:18.
Or if I don't want Mickey, I can go over to Minnie and she'll say...
It's 11:18. Good night.
See? So... I actually love this watch.
Good night.
Huh? I thought I'd have real buyer's remorse when I bought the first one, and I thought I'd even have more buyer's remorse when I bought the second one. I've never had a moment of buyer's remorse for this watch. Never. I enjoy it. I love it. It's fun. I get all my messages from Skype, and not Skype, but from Facebook. And my messages from my text account, and they come right up on the phone. Taps me on the wrist, says, "Hey, you got a little message here," you know, and it's wonderful. Well, somebody had their hand up, was going to ask me a question. Yeah.
Have you seen some of the insane mechanical watches that people are building today, though?
No.
Some of these super extreme ones. I saw one where the whole thing is under a dome, and it has a center point. It has all these different, like, all the faces are slowly revolving and turning and doing all this. Just the mechanics of it are mind-boggling. Some of these insane watches.
Wow. Yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't. I mean, you know, the last watch that I had was one that was given to me by Penn and Teller. They made a deal they did some commercials or something for Movado, and part of the deal they made with them was for them to give them like 20 watches for their friends. And so I have an engraved watch that I used for years and years. And one day the battery went out, and I just couldn't find a place to replace the battery. I just, you know, I would have to go down into the Jewish part of town here, and with the jewelers and the guys with the payas, and I just didn't want to go through all of that. So I saw that this was available, and I went out and bought this, and ever since I bought one, and then this is the latest one. It has a bigger face, and the audio is louder, as you can hear. Well, come on. Oh, Mickey went away. Come on, Mickey.
It's 11:21.
Yeah, I could annoy you with that all night, couldn't I?
Yeah.
So anyway, what's been happening in the news today? Cohn came out with more checks.
Yeah.
Something like a total now of 7 of them or something, and they were all signed while he was president.
In the White House.
Yeah, but how are they going to prove that this was for repayment for the Stormy Daniels money? I mean, why did they say to him, okay, he said, you owe me $150,000 because that's what I paid Stormy, or maybe it was $139,000, something like that. But you owe me the money for that. Why didn't they say, oh, okay, here's a check to reimburse you for putting out the money? Why did they say to him, we want to pay this out over a year? What, is Trump that broke? Is he using the R. Kelly excuse? I mean, I don't have enough money. I mean, why did they want to stretch it out like that? And I think it was so they could claim that. How do you know this is for paying that off? How do you know this isn't just payment for services rendered?
That takes too much thought. Trump doesn't have that much thought.
Yeah, but one of the people who was okaying the check was his money guy. You know, that guy wasn't stupid. You know, but I mean, I'm just wondering how much what these checks actually say. Do we know this was for reimbursement? I mean, I like to believe it's for reimbursement, but how do you prove that? Does that make sense to you at all, Mr.
I think you're correct that the documents that we've seen are say there's checks, there's money.
Yeah.
And it happens to have Trump's signature on it.
Whatever that signature is, I can't figure out what that is.
Ramble thing.
It's like he took a signature and then he squashed it.
Did he hold the check up when he was done?
Yeah, right. Look, I made good. I did my thing on there. Yep. Yeah.
But I didn't even hear about the more checks, but I think Democrats need to be careful though, just to make sure that they stay on track, because even if they had the checks, in my opinion, and in the memo line it said reimbursement for paying off
Stormy Daniels. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know that I would care. Now, if it's a campaign finance violation, fine, and that wants to be pursued by the Justice Department, whoever, I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just saying, even if they had that, and I don't want Democrats to run around and call that the smoking gun. It needs to be gone now, because to me, I look at that and say, that's nothing to me. I don't care about that. I mean, if they want to run Trump out of office, you know, and use that extraordinary process, to me, we need something a lot better than he paid money to a woman to be quiet about a sexual relationship, because they need to stay out of the hypocritical lane.
But
that's what the Republicans would do, in my opinion.
To pay a woman for her silence while you're running for president.
Yeah.
And when you are president, seems to carry with it a certain amount of chicanery. You know. Yes, Brian's got his hand up.
I pretty much agree with what that gentleman just said there. They hypocritical link and all that. I'm sorry?
Josh is his name.
Josh, I couldn't remember your name. I'm sorry, but it's been a while. Nevertheless, I got to go and get ready and all that happy horse shit since I work at 2 o'clock in the morning. And,
yeah. Well, anything you have to say about Trump before you leave?
Yeah, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah, well,
but then again, you already knew that.
Well, so. Yeah, but I didn't know he could fuck himself. I didn't think his penis was big enough.
Literally, it would be hard with that tiny penis of his, and those tiny hands of his aren't going to help the matter anymore. With that fat fucking ass of his. I mean, maybe I know. Look, 3 months ago, I was fat. I was fatter myself, but goddamn, I wasn't that heavy. Nevertheless,
yeah.
I bid you all adieu, and hopefully I'll connect tomorrow. I'll be able to talk to Jack too.
Whenever you get a chance, we love hearing from you, Brian. You know that, and especially the new thinner Brian. Well, because we haven't seen you in about a month, maybe.
Yeah,
or so.
It's been a month.
I can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
Yeah, I've been trying.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I gotta go. So
okay.
I'll talk to you all later.
Okay. See you later, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Ludwig. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate the call. Yeah, it's very nice of him.
Yeah, I guess I was just saying. I just don't want Democrats to basically be too overzealous about the whole entire Stormy Daniels issue from start to finish, because I guess if you can't even take people like myself who dislike Trump strongly, okay? I mean, can't explain how much enough I'd love to see him gone and like to see him humiliated in the process just for personal satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at it and say, yeah, I really couldn't care less about that, then you're not going to be able to get the majority of Americans to go along with pursuing that avenue, in my opinion. You see what I'm saying? I just think politically it would be a mistake to try to exploit too much out of the Stormy Daniels issue unless some evidence comes forward that there was some sort of blackmail or violence on his part, to keep her quiet. If it was just money, I could care less. Well, now, if they had some kind of smoking gun proof that he sent, wise guys to her place and they beat her up and said, don't talk, then, that's something totally different. But as far as it goes so far, I mean, I don't care if he's got 100 checks. And like I say, they all say in the memo line, payment to porn star to be quiet. I mean, I don't fucking care. Let's focus on the real laws that he broke, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll tell you what the problem is here that I have with it. Listen, I don't care that he had sex with a porn star. I don't care that he had sex while his wife was just giving birth to their latest baby. Okay, and that's when this took place. I don't care about any of that. That's between his wife, his conscience, and so on. But when it is now a method, money is being passed to her to shut her up so that he can win an election, I think then we have some questions to ask. Mm-hmm. Because his responsibility as a human being, when he becomes president or when he's running for president, the rules change. They're not what they once were. He could do this kind of shit when he was the host of The Apprentice. He didn't have, there were no election laws involved in The Apprentice. But I just, yes, Charlie.
Yeah, I agree. I think his obstruction of justice is much worse than anything he done about paying off a porn star. I mean, he admitted on TV that he got rid of Comey because he was investigating him. That is textbook obstruction of justice.
Oh, of course. It's absolute textbook. But the point is that the Democrats, and I think you'll agree with this, Josh, have to be very careful about how they handle this. To begin with, if I were them, I would not rush to automatic judgment about doing an impeachment. I think maybe impeachment should be the last thing on the table. There are a lot of other things you can do before that to slow this guy down. You can embarrass him publicly. That's one thing you can do. But if you try to impeach him, you make him a person who especially his base, will look upon as being put upon and vilified and picked on by the Democrats and so on. And if you started impeachment tomorrow, how long would it take before you got him out of office? Well, he's going to be running in another 2 years. What you want to do is bring out all this information so that people, the next time they go to the polls, are armed with the truth. That's what you want.
Yeah. I don't think that they can move on impeachment until the Mueller report, is out, right? I mean, unless something else happens that none of us can foresee. I mean, there's some kind of, like we've said all along, some videotape comes out tomorrow of him, ordering a murder, or something. I mean, nothing is going to come.
Well,
until the Mueller report
he
is
predicted
done.
he could get away with that if he did it.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I don't even know that's a half-hearted exaggeration, but it's also not, though, right? I mean, I don't even know. I can't remember who it was, but there were a couple. I heard a couple historians talking on a show the other day, and they basically were kind of aghast that there's a pretty distinct possibility that Watergate, for example, would not even be prosecuted today. Right? I mean, and that's a decent theory.
Well, Watergate would not be
politically divided now that Watergate would probably be, overlooked because someone like Trump. Well, yeah, sure, we broke in and we tried to look at their files, but fucking everybody does that, right?
Well, I mean, there was a criminal event taking place in Watergate. It was a break-in. It was and that's basically a very basic crime. So I don't know if we would necessarily get away with it. I just don't know if the president would be implicated, or that he could stonewall. Trump could stonewall against it. Nixon didn't have the ability. It wasn't in his DNA. He could
He also didn't have Fox News.
You're right. He didn't have Fox News. And you had a news corps that was more into getting a story, and to getting at the truth in those days. The Washington Post, for instance, tread very carefully on that story when it happened. They didn't just go willy-nilly into it, but when they started getting the facts, they started thinking, well, I guess we got to publish this, because this is what newspapers do. We're not trying to sell newspapers. We're trying to do what our readers expect us to do.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I honestly can't answer. No one probably can whether or not Watergate, for example, would be prosecuted criminally today. But I certainly don't think Watergate would likely be prosecuted as politically and through impeachment today, as it was. I mean, I just think even if something
Nixon, you got to remember, John, Nixon wasn't impeached. He got out before they could.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But I don't know that it would get that far in today's climate for Trump. I don't think that. I mean, honestly, I think if the Mueller report comes out, and even if it's really, really bad, I just don't think that you'll have Republicans, do the right thing. I guess that's my cynicism,
look what they were
right? But
look at what they were doing at the Cohn hearings. They were making an excuse for everything. They were trying. It was almost like like we say that you don't want to take a woman who's been raped and make her the victim. Well, you don't want to take Cohn, who's trying to tell you the truth as he knows it, and suddenly make him a victim. And what they were doing is they were making him the victim in that hearing. Every time it was a Republican's time, it was, you're a liar, you've lied to so-and-so. There was never any questions like, well, wait a minute, let me try to get to the bottom of this, and maybe doing a kind of like cross-examination of him. They didn't do any of that. They just did nothing but hurl accusations at him. And I felt he was kind of like a woman who'd been raped and nobody would believe, and they go, well, you're probably just a slut anyway.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is I just don't think that no matter how bad it comes out to be for him, I don't know that it'll move the American public that much, and I don't know that it will move. I don't think it'll move the Republican Party that much. I mean, it just, they've shown themselves to me to this point to be people just so desperate to retain power that, you know, they've turned themselves into, I said the other day, they're sycophants and hypocrites. I mean, you know, and it's kind of sad. I mean, it's what makes me say I could never vote for one of them. I mean, even like they're the strangest party, because every once in a while, one of their members starts to act like he has a little bit of integrity, and I start to say in the back of my mind, well, you know, I could almost think about voting for that guy for something. They fucking turn around and remind me of why I was wrong.
I'll tell you something. I'll give you a good example. You can take the most principled Republican, one who you admire, and put him in a certain situation, and he will suddenly turn Republican.
Right.
And I'll give you the example that I have. John McCain, when he ran for president, I liked him before he ran for president. I thought of all the Republicans that I knew about, he was the most principled. And while I didn't agree with all of his positions, I trusted him. You know? And we're all tired tonight, aren't we? You yawned a little bit. Jeff's nodding out. No, but what I'm saying is that we, you know, it's just, what was the point I was trying to make now? I forget now.
Well, just now.
John McCain when he ran
for John McCain when he ran for president. Then he ran for president, and he became the asshole I never would vote for. You know, and he went out and got a woman to run with him who was an even bigger asshole.
Yeah.
You know, and then I went, what happened to John McCain? Now, finally, when he didn't win and he went back into Congress at the last part of his life, he did some very principled things, and he was the kind of person who I said engenders the best of what a Republican can be. But where was that John McCain when he was running for president?
Yeah, and the same thing goes with so many members of the party. I mean, there's a headline, or, you know, one of those lines at the bottom of the screen right now on MSNBC that says, in regards to the national emergency, you know, Mitt Romney has made a decision, but won't say whether or not he'll side with Trump. It's like,
by the way, I'm sure that bottom lower third that you're reading starts out with the words "breaking news," doesn't it?
I think it does. Yeah.
Do you know that? That
might have a minute ago.
Breaking news never leaves the screen. There's always some breaking news. Yeah.
So it's like, so we're so bad off now that, you know, even someone like Mitt Romney, who ran and lost, but then during that period conducting himself with, you know, even if you didn't agree with him politically, seemed like an honorable person. Okay. And since that period of time has seemed like, you know, a decent person or whatever. And now what? So he's going to come out and vote for this fucking national emergency now? I mean, give me a fucking break. All right? I mean, this is what I'm talking about.
And this is a guy who doesn't even like Trump. I mean, he hates Trump.
I mean, it's like, are you so desperate to kiss his ass? Or are you so desperate to already start worrying about? I mean, he can't be worried about re-election. He just got elected. He's got 5 more years. I mean, it's like, if anyone would be in a position to do the right thing, it would be Mitt Romney, and he's on the fence.
And Mitt Romney doesn't need to play to Trump's base, because his base is in where do you call it? In Utah. And his base, who may love Trump, some of them, would side with Romney before they would side with Trump on anything, because he's a Mormon.
So why would he be on the fence about, you know, the border declaration or the national emergency declaration? That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. It's beyond my grasp.
What's weird about that is you have a lot of other Republicans who are thinking of going over to the other side and voting against the border wall, you know, and against the appropriations.
But I'm shocked in a way that this isn't, you know, damn near unanimous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just shocked that it's even to the point where Mitt Romney is on the fence. And now maybe Romney votes against it, and this whole rant of mine is moot. in a few days, okay? But it's not moot at the moment because he hasn't come out and said that he's against it. He's come out and said he's made a decision, but he's not going to let you know what it is yet. If this were 10 years ago, no matter who the president was, let alone if it were Barack Obama, we all know the answer if it were. But if this were 10 or even just 12, 13 years ago, there'd be no fence to be on. They'd all be going completely crazy about such a presidential power grab on a matter as trivial as this.
Well,
and I'm not saying border security is trivial. I'm saying it's we all know that that's what this is. It's an end around the legislative branch. It's an executive power. It has nothing to do with border security. I mean, everyone fucking knows that. I mean, even the people that are going to vote for it know that.
Dave, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Politics, just like it always has, politics just annoys me and makes me upset. In the same way that, remember the show Lost? I had to stop watching it because at the end of the first season, because I just wanted them to cut off all the heads of all the people that were opposing them and put them on spikes up and down the beach. And I decided that wasn't a healthy place for me to go, so I stopped being involved in it.
Well, it also wouldn't be a healthy place for ABC to go because they wanted to stretch that thing out to 5 seasons.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
my solution would have ended it at a single season, done.
Yeah. It wasn't until the fourth season that
which is why I don't want to be in charge of things.
Yeah. Well, like I'm thinking about you with that lovely daughter of yours, and the fact that I said to her, she's going to have to live with these things. You're going to have to live with them too. But I don't know, maybe I'll live to be 100. Who knows? But by then I won't know where I am, so I won't care. Although I did interview a guy.
Just stay around long enough for the nanites.
Tomorrow night I'm going to have an interview I did with this guy, Ted Randall, who was one of the first top 40 disc jockeys ever because he was on the big top 40 station in San Francisco in Top 40 Hit. And he also became the first broadcast consultant, which then became a booming business. And I just wanted to do an interview with him because I wanted to say thank you for the help he gave me early on in life. And turns out he's 92 years old. So, I mean, we radio guys, we can keep going. It's game show hosts that don't last long. But, in fact, it's funny. I don't want to blow the interview. Well, I said to him, he moved to Canada, and he lives in Canada now. And he was born in, Sacramento, someplace like that, Santa Rosa, I think. And I said to him, so you get that, are you a citizen now of Canada? He says, yeah, I became a Canadian citizen. I said, so you get the medical care? He says, oh, yeah. I said, how is it? He says, let me put it this way. If I had stayed in the United States and used the American healthcare system, I'd be dead by now. So, congratulations, 92 because of Canada. But be interested. Listen to the interview tomorrow night. It's kind of interesting. It's not a great interview, but it's a good interview. And part of the reason it isn't great is, when I get to be 92, I hope I have as many of my marbles going as he does. I mean, that I'm as vital as he is. But still, 92 slows you down, no matter how you want to handle it. But Jeff and I will get old together, so I'm hoping. We got about 15 minutes left. Let's see here. What can we talk about? We were talking about stuff that no longer exists. Can you name other things that no longer exist? Like, for instance, we all know. Anybody here own an LP?
I got 700 of them in the next room.
Really? And why do you have 700 LPs in the next room?
Because I bought them 40 years ago and I keep them. I have no reason to get rid of them.
Really? I sold all mine. Well, except for a few that
make me an offer.
Huh? Yeah, no, I got about, well, I had a lot of them. I had more than you have. And I think I got something like $5,000 for the whole lot, you know. But I have a couple of records, I guess, LPs that I still own. I also have a bunch of laser discs, if anybody wants laser discs.
Wow.
Which was, by the way, the best technology at the time. You know, even though they were these huge 12-inch discs that every hour you had to turn them over. And then I finally bought a machine they came out with where it automatically played the other side, you know. But that
nice
was
Pioneer model.
Yeah,
a nice Pioneer model. I did that as well.
Yeah, and then the CD came, the DVD came along, and goodbye to the laser disc. You know, the quality.
The original Criterion collection was released on the big discs.
Oh yeah,
on the laser discs.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, then the DVD came along, and the DVD was. I find that the shelf life of a particular technology gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, like there was a radio came in the 20s, and then in the 50s it was supplanted by television, which was then supplanted by cable, oddly enough, because cable could then put on all these channels that didn't have airspace, okay? And now everything's happening faster and faster and faster. I have all these DVDs here. I've converted at least half of them to video files because there's no reason to have a fucking DVD anymore.
When was the last time you opened one of those and watched it?
Any of them that I want to watch, the main ones I like, which are all kind of put away, I have on a file, on computer files.
But out of that shelf, when was the last time you took one out? I mean, with me, it's last Christmas is the last time I actually used anything.
The 3D ones I do, because
Okay.
I have one 3D set now. They don't make DVD. Oh, but there's something they don't make anymore. They stopped making 3D TV sets.
Yeah.
If you want to watch 3D, the only way you can do it now is the projectors have 3D. But you can't get a TV set with 3D in it. Because, it was a stupid decision on their part. Because what they did is they came out with the 3D TV sets and then decided we'll charge a premium for them. Even though the technology that went into it was like in one case, it was just a little chip that cost them 15 cents. You know? They could have kept making 3D TV sets. In fact, all your DVD players that you buy and Blu-ray players you buy now are capable of playing 3D discs. But they're not putting out any more 3D discs in America because there are no more 3D TV sets. So I've got one sitting in my bedroom that's 4K 3D, and it's terrific, and I hope it never blows because the old 3D TV set did blow, but I didn't get rid of it because I'm going to get it fixed because you can get good money for a 3D TV set these days. You put it on eBay, and people are paying upwards to $4,000 to $5,000.
Oh, shit.
For a set that maybe cost $1,500 originally. So I'm going to fix mine. I think it's an investment. But I loved 3D. When I was a kid, I saw every 3D movie made. So when 3D came out, I went, wow. And they just didn't get behind it. Plus, they didn't come out with one system that worked. I went with the one that LG used, in which you could take the 3D glasses home from the movie theater, put them on, and they worked.
Yeah.
On that. The other one was an electronic thing in which you had these fluttering glasses, and they were fighting between the two, and the answer was the shutter system was not a good system, but the one that everybody was used to, the glasses you wear in the movie theater, was perfect.
Yes.
You know, but and then they said, well, they're not selling so fast. Well, they're not selling fast because you're selling them for like $400 or $500 more, and people aren't going to pay $400 or $500 more for 3D. Just give it as an added feature. You remember how fast 4K TV sets came down?
Yeah.
I just bought one for my living room, 55-inch 4K with a built-in Roku. It's a Roku TV set, right? Called TLC or TRC or something, TCL. How much do you think that cost me? 55-inch, 4K, good-looking picture, built-in Roku. How much?
Probably like $300.
$365.
Right.
We have two of them. We have one downstairs. We got 65-inch, same thing with the built-in Roku. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
picture's great. Picture's
fantastic.
Great. And I don't have to go out and buy another Roku for the new TV set.
Right.
Because it's all built into it. So, you know, but the fact is that when 4K first came out, what were they charging? $3,000, $4,000. Yeah. Within a year, they were down to the cheaper prices. And within 2 years, they're down to what they are now. And they're going to try and foist 5G on you next.
Or is it the 8K?
8K. They're going to know the 5K. They're going to try next.
5K?
Yeah.
Well, I thought they were going to 8.
Well, there is a little bit of a conundrum here. Your eyes can't see 4K.
Yeah.
Your eyes are not capable of seeing 4K. So why do you need 5K or 8K? In the movie theaters that you go to, all those screens that are projecting video onto the screen, because you're not seeing film anymore, what are they?
Right.
It's 4K. It's exactly the same thing you're getting on your TV set at home. So now my newest question is the next thing to go out of style movie theaters?
Well, that's just what I was getting ready to say. I mean,
yeah.
That was what I was curious about. I don't know if the answer is yes or no. I mean, people, I mean, we don't really go. I mean, we go maybe like once a year or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Went to 3 movies in the theaters last year.
We go less and less because any movie I want to see today, 3 months from now, will be available on DVD or other nefarious means.
Yeah.
Or I can just order it up for $5 on my cable system. And on my 4K screen with my surround sound, it's going to be like I'm sitting in the fucking movie theater. You know? So, I mean...
And you don't even have to wear pants.
And you don't have to wear... Exactly. They don't even have to wear pants. No, you don't have to wear pants. That's it. You know. Yes.
And you could have better popcorn at home.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get let me see here. What did I think it was? They once said that the popcorn in the box, right, is cheaper for them than the box itself. Okay. They should make the boxes so you can eat them when you're through with the popcorn, you know. But no, you get hey, what? I get a $7 bucket of popcorn? Wow, that's wonderful. How much popcorn's in here? How much did you spend on popcorn? About 3.5 cents.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that people don't realize is that the snack counter is the profit center for the movie theaters. Yeah. And the reason it's the profit center is because the movies aren't. The first week that a movie is in a theater, all the money goes to the movie company.
Yeah.
They make no money off the ticket sales. The second week, there's something that goes to 95% goes to the movie company. It isn't until about the 4th or 5th week that they get down to something like only 70% gets to the movie company. So where do they make their money? By selling you a $7 box of popcorn, you know, or a $5 box of Milk Duds. You know, that's where the money is. And I don't know about you, I'm very weird this way, but I can't go to a movie theater and not buy the popcorn. Even when I was on a diet and I really didn't eat it, I had to buy the popcorn. And my wife,
ritual.
Huh? Yeah.
That's the experience, yeah.
Yeah, my wife had to have it. Do you know, by the way, this is a little piece of information you never needed to know. Do you know why popcorn came into movie theaters? And why there was no popcorn during silent films? Okay.
Don't know.
Why?
With silent films, in order to understand what was going on, you had to read the dialogue on the screen. If you dipped your hand into a box of popcorn, your head always goes down and looks into the popcorn.
Yeah.
And then you might miss a dialogue slide. So popcorn didn't come in till sound movies came in. And then they had popcorn. Because you could look down, you could still hear what was going on and so on. Isn't that an interesting fact you never needed to know? The useless information you will find out when you listen to this program. But I hope you will take that away. Also, I've been watching. I get some TV shows by nefarious means, and they're running Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in England. They run about 8 weeks or something of it, and it's with a guy who's was on Top Gear. What's his name? You know, the big guy, Jeremy.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the host of the show, does a very good job of it. And the reason I love watching it is because even the simplest questions I don't know the answers to because they're all for a British audience. And one of the questions, I could answer it, but a lot of people couldn't, was in the United States, what is the word they use for nappies?
Diapers.
Huh?
Diapers.
Yeah, but you knew that. Anybody else know that? Because you didn't know what nappies were. And that was the 100-pound question. Okay? So to somebody in England, so I love watching it because, and so one of the facts I came out with is they said, what is the name of the airport in Liverpool? And I looked at all the names and I didn't know, and I should have figured it out quickly. Did you know there's an airport in Liverpool named after John Lennon? An airport named after John Lennon. Yeah. So I'm learning a lot about England from...
That would make sense. Out of probably a list of other ones, if they were all real.
Yeah. But Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? British edition. And it's more difficult if you're an American because all the questions are just from a British perspective. They said there's a area in New York, in London called Isle of Dogs, and they said, what's the wharf in that area? And it was Canary Wharf was the answer, but none of us would have known that answer. In fact, all of us thought Isle of Dogs was a cartoon. Mm-hmm. You know? So anyway, hey, there's the theme. Boy, it's been nice tonight. Dave, good hearing from you again. I hope can we do this more often, Dave?
I really hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've missed you. You're an intelligent guy, and just like Josh is an intelligent guy, and just like Charlie is an intelligent guy, and like Jeff is an intelligent guy, and like Brian's an intelligent guy, and even Bree, who sent me a note or something but didn't call tonight. Anyway, I really thank you all for being with me tonight, and again, it's been another night of feeling like we were swimming naked because there was nothing impeding our swim. Our balls could float freely and without Phil. Anyway, everybody, why don't you? I'll wave at you, and why don't you wave goodbye to the audience? Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for tonight. That's what our citizen panel is all about. Good night of talk and discussion, and gosh, good time to be had by all. Coming up next, a repeat of The Intersection because Jack is taking the night off. And then, let's see here, tomorrow night at 9:30, it's Damian Chaplin and the Exchange. At 10 o'clock, I'll be back again. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.